A very good morning to you, Anil. This is Anil Menghani over here with us on the Fireside Chat series, episode 5. And to tell you, we have had rest of the industries coming in, but this is my favorite industry coming for the first time, that is MarTech. So, Anil, I have to introduce before I'll give you a chance to introduce yourself and add the punch. So, this is Mr. 60 Seconds guy, and I know him from probably 2009 or 10. And let me tell you, he was our poster boy in sales. And let me tell you, his tag today of 60 seconds always was there because we have heard stories about him as a person who could close any kind of sales. We have heard stories about, and the entire company that we work together with. He would, people would talk about how he had no time, so he's closed a order running with somebody, or going and traveling the entire 3 hours of the Pune Expressway just to get the time that every CEO stops giving. So I think it's an amazing transition that he has done from being from a very core industry of telecom, from there into the SaaS world. I think if I break his career graph into two parts, 1 decade there, 1 decade here, I think he moved the transition where most people age out and phase out and don't know what to do, get into consulting, which probably has no ends. But then, Anil has been phenomenal in the way he has transitioned and become the guy of today's marketer, where he works so prolifically with all the market tools. In this session, I'm definitely looking forward as to how did he scale that path, and what has he done differently in terms of go to market, in terms of marketing strategies, in terms of implementing and harnessing the power of market across such varied industries to today's ultimately SaaS. So that's my introduction for Anil. So Anil, do you want to add something that defines Anil?
Hey, thanks, Ipsita, for calling me on this show. And you actually stole away my 60 seconds pitch, but that was not bad. So you did a great justice to that. So hello, everyone. Yes, my name is Anil Menghani, known in the industry as now 60 seconds guy. Takes a long time to build a personal brand, guys. But I built that over the last 2 years. The reason why I know most of you would be curious, why 60 seconds guy? For all the right reasons. 60 seconds guy, as we all know in sales, and I've been a strong salesperson over the 2 decades plus. So in sales, elevator pitch typically lasts for 60 seconds. And we've been taught that in our own, starting off a career, that from a lift of a level 1 going up to a level 25, you should be able to at least impress upon someone that he calls you for a next conversation to close the deal. And that's what 60 seconds or / elevator pitch is all about. And that's what I think I'm very confident. That was one. And second, because of my personal traits, I think I'm really good at making, or I have a knack of building relationships in 60 seconds. I can actually go and chat with strangers on the street in 60 seconds and know probably about their entire family in less than 60 seconds. And trust me, guys, for this. So that's a quick introduction of a 60 seconds guy. And as rightly put by Ipsita, I also divide my career graph into two halves. One is before the intermission, second is after the intermission. Yeah. So the first half is more of IT, telecom, and networking organizations, right from SAP, which is Siemens selling SAP, to networking solutions in SIFI. I've also sold pagers and mobile. So that was way back in Easy Call paging call for Motorola. But then transitioning myself, because I realized that telecom wasn't doing that well. And touchwood, I would say, I always had that sixth sense that when the industry is going through a fall, this also happened during the dot-com days. I was lucky enough to kind of switch industries there. And same happened during the telecom. We all know how telecom went through back in India. I quickly jumped over to SaaS / MarTech world. And God was kind. I was able to get a good role in a company called Netcore. And that's where my SaaS / MarTech journey started. So that's how I split my career graph also into these two halves. But exciting times. SaaS / MarTech is one of the most promising. And today, anybody you ask, they said, yeah, we have a SaaS product. So, but it's very different. But yeah, over to you, Ipsita, for now.
So I never leave my, any place for my viewers to guess anything. So you said two things. I'll catch you on the first. You said 60 seconds. Let's teach the world also how you do it. Let's give them some tools. Tell me, if you had to connect in those 60 seconds, is there a major plan around it? Is it broken into 3 parts? What is it? If you have to postulate and modelize it, how do you think any commoner or any sales guy could go about using those 60 seconds to do same what you do?
Of course, there's a formula to it, but that's a secret sauce. But yeah, let me share that with you. So
Whatever you can.
no, no, of course. No. It's always about, I always believe in giving back to the community because nothing is going to go. It's good. I'd be very happy if probably 100 more people able to learn that hack of theirs.
And I'll tell you, Anil, when they do that and they share it back, I will tell you, you'll get a third idea. And that is always evolutionary.
I'm with you on that. I'm really with you on that. So I have a knack of that, and I break that into 3 parts of 60 seconds. See, one is, it's like when we say the first impression, which you all know, and we call it also as a lasting impression. So when you're meeting somebody for the first time, and when I said strangers, it's very important to how do you connect. And don't keep your sales hat on it, because the moment you're keeping your sales hat, you want to connect with an intent. Yes. Okay, that's what I say. Don't do that. Okay, I have another rule which is minimum 3 meetings, but I will talk about that later. But don't have that intent of selling, because when you have that intent of selling, then you go with a purpose of connecting. But here, go with the purpose of building a bond. Yes. So that's the first part, which I always believe that go all out, meet the person, understand the person, not his title. He's the CEO, he's the founder, he's the CMO. Again, then you'll be dissuaded by that whole thing. So just go and connect with him. And those connection can be, hey, how was your weekend? Or how's the week coming up for you? And just be a little casual about this whole thing and try to connect with him. Something very important. And even before you do that connect, I always tell, and being in sales for such a long time, homework is very important. I'm sure we all have done homework in our school for the next day. So that prep work, what we call it as homework, is very important. For example, Ipsita, like what you did, amazing. Before we got connected, you kind of went through the entire history of what Anil has done, all the companies which I've worked for, and that's why you were able to give a great intro. And that's the homework which I'm talking about. So I think that's very, very critical for every person out there. I'm saying forget sales. Anybody's trying to build a bond or relationship, it could be pre-sales, customer success, or anyone. You need to kind of do that prep work, and that's very, very helpful.
For a stranger, you can just run your Google Lens first and find him on LinkedIn.
No, but stranger also sometimes, since we are all smart sales guys, right? You need to kind of, who's the stranger whom you really want to connect with. Yes. But in the normal casual world, then just wear your hat on, general human, and just connect with him.
Yes.
So that's something which you should do, and connect without a purpose, which I'm saying, or without a this thing.
Yes, very
human to human, and H2H is one of the biggest things.
Yes.
The second part is when you're connecting with a person, try to understand what are they going through in their lives. Typically, when you connect with a person, you start thinking about yourself, you start talking about yourself. One thing which I've learned in sales, I used to always feel that I was always paid for my tongue because I talk well. Okay, but then I realized, I think that's the biggest mistake which I'm doing in my life. And I did that mistake for the first 8 to 10 years of my career. I used to talk a lot and I never used to allow the opposite person to speak. But then over the time, when the hairs became gray, I realized you need to be silent 30% of the time. Sorry, 70% of the time. 70%, and only 30% of the time you should talk.
True.
And that's where you'll be able to get a larger understanding of that person. Correct. And in business call, you'll be able to get a larger meet from the person to understand what is he thinking about the business, how is he planning to grow the business, what are his difficulties / challenges, or what does he wants to, or where does he wants to reach on the business side of it.
Yes.
If you just trigger a question, and always trigger with an open-ended question, let the person talk. And not just talk about yourself, let the person talk. Because the first half, it's about you when you're saying hello and just building that relationship. But after that, just keep quiet, leave some open-ended question and let him or her talk.
Yes.
That's the second part.
Yes.
Third part, always ensure that don't stop the relationship. Even with a stranger, like for example, in Singapore, I catch a Grab car, and again, being a person the way I am, I start chatting with the person for whatever that 20 minutes ride. And while leaving, I always tell him, you never know, I might connect with you again, because Singapore is a small place and we all take Grabs. So probably I might connect with you again. And this happened. I realized that I'm sitting in the same cab. He comes and tells me, hey sir, I picked you up last week also.
Yes.
I said, oh man, how do you recollect, man? You got a good memory, especially sitting in the front. He said, no, not because of the memory, because we started chatting and you were talking about your daughter and everything. I said, oh wow. So I become personal also with people, because that's where you let your guards go off and make the person that you are there as a human, not as a title or as a person.
Very true.
I think that's the third part, which is very important, that leave something for a next engagement or a next interaction.
Leave a relationship, like you said. Continue your relationship. Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing the secret sauce. And the second part, Anil, which was very interesting, like pre-BC, after PC, before and after Christ. So before SaaS and after SaaS. Tell me the MarTech space, how, or rather, let's go back from MarTech to go to market.
Yep.
How was it different then versus the after the SaaS? How do you define the features which have majorly changed significantly?
Okay, there has been a change, and with the new adoption of technology, adoption of online, and the way the whole globalization is happening, GTM has changed thoroughly. What I used to do 20 years back and now, what has changed in the telecom or my first half of my
Yes,
career,
done
where
it.
it was more of in person. It was more of meeting people because people wanted to be spoken to each other before they take decisions. People wanted to be seen to each other. Plus, the sales cycles were a little long. It used to be, I know telecom was a larger sales cycle, but even during those days, I used to sell some products which was a shorter sales cycle. But during that time also, the sales cycles were very, very long, which means it should take at least 2 to 3 months for any closure. Because customer should think, because he was not so well versed with what's happening on the industry. First, he will acquaint himself with the domain, then he will acquaint himself with some competition of ours, then do a research study, and it should take a long time. And
Yes.
that's why the cycle is to spread a little longer.
Yes.
But come today, the whole thing has changed because with the advent of the online world, today our customer is smarter than what you are. Okay, and he doesn't need to be sold. So one more thing which was in the pre-era of SaaS, you used to sell people. And
Yeah.
people were open to coming as a seller, coming and selling him. And he was open to be sold. But
Yes.
in today's world, nobody loves to get sold. That's why because he's much more smarter than you, even before you walk into his workplace, in his cabin or his meeting room, he knows exactly about your company, exactly about your product services, about your competition, about the competition pricing. So he's an advanced user because of the online tech. And
Yes.
that's why your GTM one becomes smaller, which is your
Yes.
sales cycles become smaller. But then you need to become sharper and smarter. In those days, probably because of a little more of a legwork and hard work, you were able to manage it. But in current time, it has to be more of smart work, and you need to be much more sharper with your eyes and ears open, seeing how he is evolving in his business cycle or in his journey, and where your product and service can really fall into place. I've actually gone Ipsita many times to customers saying, "Hey, I can't solve this problem.
Yes.
I can solve only 60% of your problem. So currently, I'm not the right person for you for now. Probably later, if you want, we can connect. But trust me, not everyone, I would say, but one or two guys came and said, I'm okay with the 60% right now because I'm anyway not going to use the 100%.
Yes.
So let's start with the 60%. So people believe or people really appreciate honesty when you
Yes.
come back. And that's one more skill as a salesperson we all need to go, is being honest to yourself. If you think your product doesn't serve the purpose, please don't go and oversell, because that relationship will not last long. Even if he buys it, it will not last more than 2 or 3 months. There will be a divorce which will happen.
Yes, you're right. And as a salesperson, I think you carry a certain, credential which carries
Of
beyond the
course.
product, beyond the industry also.
See, because
And
there's a very
with
popular saying,
SaaS, yeah.
there's a very popular saying that when sales guys leave company, they take customers with them. Why do they say that?
Yeah.
It's because you build a credibility, and that's what you
Yes.
say. So you
Yes.
have to stand up to that credibility.
Very true. Very true. And imagine the world of SaaS. Whichever industry you left is going to use another SaaS solution, which you might end up
100%.
either doing a GTM or sales.
I agree.
Yes, yes. So tell me, you have, your journey, I think, from Netcode to CleverTap. CleverTap itself is a very interesting story, and how they moved in a very different format and engage clients. Tell me how, when you talk about the MarTech stack now, okay,
Yeah.
it's so elaborate, and most of us are also lost there. What do we do? How much of it do we really need to do? So what are the top 3 things the CMO should think while planning his MarTech stack? Whether it is on the customer side, or the lead capturing side, or the sales side, or the sales enablement side.
Yeah.
It's huge. The ecosystem itself is huge. But what should be the top 3 things that they should think about before they plan the roadmap for the MarTech stack?
Sure. So, as we all know, customer is God, and that goes across B2B, B2C, D2C, everywhere. And we need to really respect our customers. So, when a CMO in the MarTech space, when he's looking at a solution or a tool, the first thing is that he has to understand that there are customers out there. And in B2C, of course, the customers are millions or billions based on what industry, or like in e-commerce would have a billions of customers, maybe, and others probably could have probably a millions of customers. But whatever that size of the customers is, are you getting connected with them? it's difficult sometimes, right? For example, would a Coke know, is Anil's or Ipsita drinking Coke or Pepsi? Ideally, no, and I don't expect them to know because it's a big industry and FMCG industry. But I'm saying at least in the MarTech space, where this is little much more smaller, you should know what your are you engaging with your customer? And that's where one of the first important thing which a CMO should look at, what are the channels which he or she is using at his end, which could be through tools or which could be through advertising or could be through marketing, on engaging with their customers. Because if you're not in touch with your customer, then that's a very sad thing. There's a second reason for that. You need to be in touch because there's something called a very important word or terminology called CLTV, which is called customer lifetime value.
Yes.
Okay, so today, every SaaS company is looking at a CLTV. And just for people, just to give a quick definition, a CLTV is like Anil came and subscribed to your brand or bought your product on day 0, and how many times he keeps coming and buying on your platform. For example, I'm an Amazon user. I bought some product today. I bought a product after 3 months. I bought a product after 9 months. I bought a product. So 5 times whatever the product revenue which is my CLTV.
Yes.
But Anil just bought once and Amazon is not engaged with me. And then he moves on to other platform like Flipkart back in India, or here it's Lazada or Shopee. And then probably after a year and a half, I probably come back to Amazon, which means you lost Anil because you didn't engage with him.
Right.
And in today's world, staying engaged with your customer is very important. So that's the first thing which is very important and critical. Second, now go beyond engaging. Now engaging is basics, I would say. But do you know about Ipsita? What gender is she? What is she looking? What her day looks like? Is she a professional or she is a businessman or businesswoman? Or what are her likes and dislikes? What does she do? What are her hobbies? If you are able to get a little more understanding, I'm not saying you'll be able to fetch everything.
Yes.
There are tools available to get a lot of those data. And some people call it PI data, which is more basic data, but there is some beyond that data. So you need to understand your consumer a little more better.
Yes.
Now, how does that help? Tomorrow, when you're trying to do a little upsell/cross-sell with your customer, that will really help you. I'm sure, Ipsita, you would have gone through a lot of e-commerce where probably you bought a nice, beautiful top, and then they say, okay, this is a trouser attached. You could probably look at that. Or 10 people along with this top took that scarf which you are wearing. Okay, so why don't you take that? Okay, or something else. So I'm saying, if you understand who is Ipsita as a consumer or as your user, then go a little beyond and you will be able to resonate more and sell products.
If you could make this parallel from a B2B format, I think currently also your company, Wizzly, I think it's on the, future of workplace. So, when you are talking about your marketing journey or when you recommending somebody how to decide, you can give an example there too.
Okay.
So how
So because B2C is always easier to understand. So in B2B also, what you should do, for example, in Wisely. So we are a growth SaaS platform and we have experts which are there as one side, which is the supply side. And on the other side, we got companies from SMBs to growth stage startups to enterprises.
Okay.
Any company comes and is looking at, for example, a GTM.
Right.
And he's in the fintech space.
Okay.
So what our AI does, immediately understands the customer, which is because initially I would have filled up a form when subscribing to my SaaS. Okay, my name is Anil Menghani. I'm a CMO. I belong to the fintech space. Currently, my HQ is Singapore, and I want to expand to Indonesia, Philippines, and Thailand.
Yes.
Now, that data, I will personalize the journey for him. Okay, and that's what I was meaning when I was talking about in the B2C.
Know your customer. So first you said the CLTV, and then the second is you talked about
customizing and personalizing the journey. So I say, hey Anil, I know you're gonna move to Indonesia.
Yes.
I've got this 5 experts who have done GTMs for markets like Indonesia in their respective companies like Gojek, Carousel, CleverTap, Insider. So why don't you have a call with them for 20 minutes, understand, and then probably you could hire them as a fractional, or probably you could hire them for some project work.
Right.
So that's my AI will give you exactly customized or personalized way of doing things. And the moment I see that as Anil, as a customer, I said, oh, wow, he knows everything that I'm going to go expand to Indonesia. I'm looking at this market. I'm in fintech. So he's giving me experts from fintech market who have done this in the past. So that's what I'm saying is personalization is very important in today's world.
Correct. So here we were talking about what should a CMO, 3 things that he needs to take care while planning his MarTech space, the
That's
very
right.
first thing you said is probably measuring. For example, CLTV being CLT being the most important parameter, which
Yeah.
lets him choose tools also, which lets him measure at every point.
Agreed.
Second is you said knowing your customer more, whether it
Customer.
is through AI, and of course you should AI, because I was just reading, connected devices are there, whatnot, except, with all due respect to the GDPR and, with the privacy of people's information, I think knowing a little more so that you can make their buying process more engaging and fruitful. So that is one MarTech thing they should also plan,
Yes.
investing in knowing your customer more. So what is your third thing that you would
And
recommend?
the third thing is, now a lot of people know after the customer is come in, and that's why I call this as a leaky bucket phenomena. Now, leaky bucket, as the name says, you keep putting in customers from the top, but then there's a hole which you don't even realize as a CMO, and customers are going away. And trust me, Ipsita, the amount of money which CMOs invest to do on their CAC, the CAC customer acquisition, is huge. Okay, per dollar cost for acquiring customer.
Yes.
So, but they don't realize that retention is one of the biggest thing.
True.
Now, retention means, how many times have you gone and spoken to your customer and has asked, hey, Ipsita, how are you? Are you happy with my services? Or are you looking at something else? Or is my product/service has been able to do the right things, what your KPI stands for? So that's called customer satisfaction surveys or customer satisfaction index. Now that's very important, which to retain your customers. Not many organizations do that, neither on B2B, neither on B2C. Okay. Like, for example, when you buy Amazon something, going back to a B2C easier example, you get immediately an email saying that, hey, Ipsita, you bought this product and please can you give me a feedback with pictures and everything in case of required. So that kind of shows that, oh, were you really happy or not?
True.
So that's very important to go and measure whether your customer is happy or not happy with your services.
No, excellent. I think all the 3 points are amazing and they are on the mark. So I think wonderful. And that's what you need, guidelines so that you can go back and figure out tools. And in the world where so many tools are there, I think what you need to do, first, and so that you figure out the tools. So tell me, in your experience, can you name few platforms and tools who have really helped CMOs do that brilliantly? It could be in any one area, not necessarily all.
I can give you. So, especially on the MarTech side, what we are talking about, and with reference to that, the first thing is they need to have is a good CDP system. Now, CDP, as the name says, customer data platform.
Yes.
So you should have a good CDP system which will take care of the authenticity of your data and the structure of the data which comes into your platform.
Okay.
Because the data is in a mess. For example, just take a classic example in your house. If your things are put up everywhere in a mess and you want the things at the right time, you will go helter-skelter to get the things. And probably it will be hours, or you might go leave the house without that thing. So it's important that similarly in your organization architecture, data has to be placed really well, and CDP helps you really well. There are good companies like Segment, Telium, Treasure Data. These are some good companies who give you a good CDP.
Okay.
CDP is the most important part. Which is important. Second comes is your CRM. Now, as we say, the word CRM is how do you kind of record your customers' data? How is the data coming in? Okay. So that's a CRM. How do you kind of collect the data? For example, you do an email marketing, or somebody comes to your website, you make him fill a form. So all the data gets fetched into the CRM.
Right.
So you have a good CRM, and the best example of CRM is a Salesforce. I always have big salute to them. Of course, there is Sahu, there is Freshdesk and other people, but Salesforce, the way they have changed the whole world, the way CRM works is really very nice. So good CRM is important. And the last one, which I'm talking about, how do you kind of engage with your customers? That's why a lot of customer engagement platforms, like few of my previous companies, CleverTap, Insider, MoEngage, these are some 3-4 companies who are really good in that space, who helps you to put your APIs into your mobile or SDK into your web, and they will be able to fetch data from your customers on the customer's behavior and intention. So these are 3 tools I think are very important for any CMO.
I'm glad you shared also some companies you look up to,
That's right.
So tell me, in this wide world of marketing, is there still some space to squeeze in? Is there a space for a new techpreneur to think about? Is there an area unserved still or underserved?
Yes. It's not unserved, I would say. I would say it's limited served. Today, we are all talking about the world of AI. Okay. And that's where a 4th layer. So as I said, CDP is here. Then comes CRM, then the customer engagement. But now customer engagement can become much more smarter, which a lot of these companies do it really well. So one of the other companies which I was guiding them called Yellow. They were earlier known as Yellow Messenger.
Yeah.
So Yellow is the company which connects with your API to your WhatsApp.
Right.
Now, a lot of companies use Yellow. For example, if you are using Make My Trip back in India, and I use a lot of Make My Trip for my travels. So Make My Trip starts chats with you on the WhatsApp. Hey, this is your ticket. Hey, your flight's coming up. Do you want to do check-in? So it's clearly a chat which is on your comfort, which is WhatsApp.
Yes.
Getting into something also on Slack, like
Yes.
Wisely, we are using a regenerative AI on the NLP, where we are going to give people what example I was giving you of searching a expert of a GTM expert in Indonesia. Tomorrow, if you have a Slack, you don't need to get out of the Slack and come to my platform on Wisely. You could on the Slack or on the WhatsApp go to our chat and say, hey Wisely, I'm looking to expand to Indonesia. So Wisely will come and speak to you. What is that you're looking to expand? Are you looking at marketing first? Are you looking at sales first? Or are you planning to get some customers first? So
Yes.
you say, okay, at marketing. Then marketing, are you looking at PR first? Are you looking at this? So it will also do scoping of your project. We'll tell you these are the 3 experts. These are the 3 calendar links attached if you want to have calls. So everything is done on the conversational layer.
Yes.
You don't need to go to the Wisely app or the website to do that.
Right.
That's one layer which a lot of people are using regenerative AI and trying to get there.
Right.
There are people there, but I think that's a big space which could be covered by a lot of
Unobserved, you're saying.
Yes.
Yes. So even I think a lot of time conversational side, I think generative AI can be
Yes.
used a little more.
Perfect.
I think today itself in the morning we had some update on LinkedIn about some finally doing something on the conversational speech side
Yes.
using. I wanted to read it, but I think I'll go back to it. Yes. Whatever mix of call center, probes, and then
Yep.
your then upselling, cross-selling.
Yes,
And
yes,
if
yes.
somebody
Everything
could
is
just
that.
prompt the next line, what should the sales,
Precisely.
in sales enablement, what if, and what if finally an AI guy, just an AI robot does your sales? How would you make Anil feel about it? Let's say somebody's selling, it's not a human selling anymore. It's very sophisticated, intelligent AI speaking to you, knowing what you're going to say next. Would you like that AI bot to be selling to you on phone instead of...
Mind, as long as it actually resonates or duplicates a human conversation. Like for example, let's look at, we all have Alexas in the house, right?
Yes.
Okay. And when you say, hey Alexa, or hey XYZ, or hey this thing, I feel sometimes those are like not a great conversation.
It gets troubled, you feel irritated, yes.
Exactly.
But if you didn't, would you like to be sold? See, you are a 60 seconds guy. You have been the truest sales guy, a relationship guy. Let's assume the generative AI produces a conversational person and he starts pitching better than you. Would you still mind or not mind? You want a person?
Or... Mind. Why not? In fact, I will always look at the advent of a technology and how can I even use that maybe. So today, assuming now there'll be another space which will come in, they said, okay, hey Anil, we need your voice because we want to make it natural. Okay, we don't need a robot. Okay?
That was one thing I thought. It should be a natural voice. It shouldn't
natural
be
voice. So they'll say, okay, so Anil gets a job there. They say, okay, Anil, use your sales skills. So Anil's voice comes in and they will pick up all the vowels and other things. And Anil will start probably responding to that.
Very
So it's all about, you have to all embrace. See, today, there are only 2 ways. Either you embrace technology or you're out of the game, very clearly. And I've seen a lot of companies, we've seen a lot of examples of Kodak, back in the past, for Nokia, and so many new BlackBerry.
BlackBerry, everything. They're amazing products. And so I think, every company, because of the space at which, starting with generative AI has come in, I think we are all forced to think beyond. Even the most traditional guys will think twice not to think about it.
So there's something also coming which is called AGI. I was talking to somebody yesterday.
Yes.
It's a little closer, which will be better than human intelligence. So what you're talking about, but that will come into...
So I was also reading a book called, Quantum. I know the book is before generative AI's version, I think. He should have to change it maybe. But it's called Quantum Marketing. So where he's mentioning that narrow AI is there. But when you talk about super AI or, it had decades. Now I think he has to check his book again. How far are we from that day? But yes. Tell me something. I would have asked you how you're using AAA analytics AI or in automation in your product today. But you kind of mentioned slight mentions. I'll bring in more focus of generative AI since it's something every marketer wants to know. How have you thought, or how would you think are the use cases which should be relevant being a marketer and using a mark stack?
See, generative AI. It can be used in many, as I said. So like we use in Wisely, where we are trying to connect on the conversational layer. But I'm saying it has to be more of NLP, which is like, you don't have to think much. It's like the way I'm talking to you. I don't have to think about what should I type. It should be like, hey, Ipsita, how are you? Or Ipsita, I'm just thinking, yeah, there's a challenge which I'm facing with my current job, so I don't know how to do it. So I'm saying it's like the way I'm doing a conversation. That's something, if you're able to take a stab at that, I think that would be really, very nice. And that's where the regenerative AI will become very, very popular. Today, I still know that he'll say, hey, I didn't understand much. Or can you be much more clearer? Or I will again show you up the three options again. Or can you select from this 1, 2, 3? So that's a challenge which I'm seeing with the regenerative AI. But the moment you kind of hit that NLP kind of thing or the natural language, that would be really, really good. And then people will be accustomed to using that in day-to-day life. As I said, the regenerative AI is very important, provided if it's in an NLP, it's in a natural language form. Because I've seen a lot of people using AI, but then it's not a natural language. Like, for example, I'm talking to you, Ipsita, and saying, hey, Ipsita, yaar, I'm having a challenge in one of this market. I don't know what to do. So it's like a casual conversation which I'm doing with you. But exactly if that is replicated into an AI format, then it will really work much more better. Today, I see a lot of bots because I have explored a lot of platforms. I've been a very savvy guy, digital savvy guy. So they say, hey, Anil, I didn't quite understand this. Oh, these are three options. Can you select from 1 to 3? Because the moment they don't get it, hey, okay, let me connect to you to my customer service operator, and she will probably speak to you. Because that's where they stop it. That's because they have not built their NLP, regenerative AI, to an extent of NLP where it becomes a casual conversation. The day when people are able to take a stab at that and make that successful, then I think the world will change, because it's like I'm doing a casual chat with you and I'm doing a casual chat with my AI, and that's how my answers come in. And because it picks up everything what I say, I'm saying even colloquial slangs maybe also should be a part of that. Okay, I said, hey, LOL. So it should even pick up those, because when I'm talking to you, I might use those slangs and you will probably quite understand that. And that's the human to human connect which I was talking about. But still, here is human to an AI. The moment that changes into a better way of communicating on the conversation layer, I think then we have cracked this market completely.
No, I was also reading something that whenever you want to expose a generative AI leveraged platform, first do it internally, because before you expose to your clients, probably model it on a GPT-3 or 4 and then experiment with it, because it needs huge amount of data even to train. I think we are going to do a couple of next sessions. It won't be the Fireside chat series, but about people, how they plan to use and what are the various methods. So one we're doing on document processing. Maybe we'll do on couple of, if you can recommend somebody on the chatbot side, know what they're doing. So we'll do a chat GPT series about couple of episodes where how will you use it? You need to share a lot there to be able to, do it right.
Agreed.
So Anil, I think we covered a very important technology, but is there any other technology, for example, it's said that, the connected devices, wearable devices, VR, augmented reality, and we being from the telecom background, we know how 5G also, probably some thoughts on any of these technologies, how you think it'll shape the road ahead?
Though, of course, I know for a fact that Web 3.0 has not picked up well. Okay, a lot of companies tried putting their hands onto it, building those meta. But I know things are not, because of course currently the macroeconomic environment is not that great to support that. But I'm very confident, because I've seen a lot of products around those, which is Web 3.0, how they will change the world. Okay. Those will come in very soon. Okay. For example, like you wearing those glasses of Meta, and then you going and attending a conference in London, and I'm sitting to a sitting person to adjust, and I'm talking to him with those glasses. I say hi, and trust me, Ipsita, I actually went and checked with that person on the LinkedIn. He was the person who's in reality, he's there, that person. So that's the kind of technology where sitting in a single premise, you will be able to go and explore the whole world, which is kind of been started, but as I said, it's not moved to a great extent. But we need to watch that space very clearly, which is Web 3.0, very, very important space where a lot of new technologies will come in. I know a lot of the larger companies, which is of course we call it the walled garden companies, like your Metas, Googles, and Microsoft. They are trying to work, still working on those. Plus, I know smaller players also. There are a lot of agencies which are popped up only for Web 3.0, because they feel they call themselves Web 3.0 agencies, because they are supporting a lot of all of this. So it's gonna come in a big way, but I think it'll take a year or two, but it will come. So we need to watch that space for.
I know you've been working closely with a lot of startups, and your journey
Yes,
with
that's why.
amazing. Thank you so much for sharing, because it's always good to know what's going to come next rather than being surprised.
Yes.
So it was wonderful, Anil. I think the entire capsule was amazing. But like I told you before we started the chat, you recommended that I studied. I commented on the facts. I did study, and I really feel you also have the next after the next professional career. I think you have a great scope being a speaker or being a motivational speaker or a guide. So tell me one at the end of this, what would you recommend, as a person? I mean, we talked about a marketer, we made a technologist, but what would you leave one bite for our listeners over here, which also talks about their personal growth or mental growth or
Yeah.
personal growth rather? Yeah.
So one thing which I've learned in a very hard way, very, very important. Two things I could say that. One, learn to say no, which is very, very important for your personal growth. Because what happens as human race, we all want to do things. We aspire to do things, and we want to do a lot of things for ourselves. Could be new technology, could be learning, could be doing multiple jobs or doing some advices. But learn to say no. That's very important because you need to be restricted to what you can do and on the bandwidth side of it. And second is you should know what things not to do, because I was 20 years, I was into entrepreneurial journey, 21 years, and then I jumped off the cliff to start my own entrepreneurship. So I started two startups in the last 3 years now. One failed, one is still continuing. So what I learned that what are the things which you should not do, and this is of course I learned from all of my failures. That one more thing which people don't plan, because always people feel that, oh, life is going to be hunky-dory, it's going to be good, you're going to have a smooth sailing ride. So when startups or entrepreneurs, when they build up their business plan, they always talk about that 6 months to 1 year growth, 3 year growth, 10 year growth, I'll reach IPO or I will sell off the company. So they talk only about the good things.
Yeah.
But also you have to always pen down what are things which you are not going to do in this journey, because today you kind of get quickly excited. Like for example, in Wisely, we quickly got excited. Okay, said, we are only focused on B2B SaaS companies, which is and Series A and Series B very clearly. But today we were seeing a lot of traction coming from enterprises like a Unilever, Reckitt Benckiser, or Fortis, and we're realizing, oh, we could go there. But then we said, no, these are distractions in life. We should know what not to do, because we want to be focused right now. We want to be on the growth stage. We want to be at this stage. So difficult, but very important to learn to say no and know what not to do in life. These are two important things.
You started on a great note and you ended on a very relevant note. I think every entrepreneur hearing this exactly knows what you meant, and it just strike the chord. So on that note, Anil, thank you so much. I couldn't have asked for a better first MarkTech speaker, and I'm so happy that it was you. And thank you so much.
Likewise, Ipsita, great meeting you after such a long time. And I'm so glad that you could invite me on the show and I could share some nuggets of wisdom.
Thank you so much, Anil. Until we meet again.
Thank you.